OpenAI's Dev Day 2025 will likely be remembered as the moment when the conversation around artificial intelligence shifted, from language models as assistants to AI agents as autonomous workers and creators. Sam Altman's on-stage remarks and follow-up discussions outlined a radical trajectory for OpenAI and, by extension, for the technology landscape as a whole. This wasn't a product showcase. It was a worldview. Altman's comments hinted at a future where scientific discovery, the nature of work, and even the definition of a company could be reimagined through the lens of intelligent agents. Below is an analysis of what his statements mean for researchers, developers, and policymakers, and why the path ahead may feel both exhilarating and unsettling. 1. AI is moving from knowledge to discovery. Altman's statement that AI's ability for novel discovery is beginning to happen marks an inflection point. For the past decade, AI has largely functioned as a pattern recognizer, analyzing, predicting, and generating outputs based on existing data. What Altman suggested is different. Models are starting to help scientists make new discoveries rather than merely summarize what's known. In fields such as materials science, drug development, and mathematics, researchers are already using large models to hypothesize molecular structures, identify potential compounds, or optimize formulas. These are not trivial autocomplete tricks, they're glimpses of computational creativity. The term novel discovery signals a subtle but profound shift. AI is no longer just a search engine for knowledge, it's becoming a partner in invention. From an AI systems perspective, this shift depends on agentic architectures, systems capable of reasoning iteratively, testing hypotheses, and improving autonomously. When combined with simulation environments or scientific databases, such agents can propose experiments that even domain experts might overlook. However, the challenge will be verification. As AI begins to generate original hypotheses, the scientific method must evolve to incorporate machine-generated reasoning while maintaining human oversight. This raises urgent questions. How do we confirm that an AI's discovery is valid and reproducible? How do we avoid false positives generated by overconfident reasoning? If OpenAI's direction holds true, we are on the edge of an era where AI becomes a laboratory colleague, capable not just of crunching data, but of advancing the frontiers of knowledge itself. 2. The future of work, when work stops looking like work. Altman's most philosophically charged remark was that the future of work may look less like work. It's an elegant way of saying something profound. Automation won't just change what people do, it will change why people do it. The acceleration of agentic systems, capable of executing multi-day workflows, threatens the foundations of how modern economies define labor. When an AI can write code, handle customer support, generate marketing strategies, and analyze markets, all autonomously, the concept of a job becomes more fluid. Altman implied that this transformation might force societies to rethink the social contract, the implicit agreement that people exchange labor for income and identity. If machines can handle the bulk of productive output, societies will need to redefine both value and purpose. From an economic viewpoint, we may be entering the post-labor productivity paradox, massive output growth without proportional human employment. In such a world, human work might migrate toward creativity, supervision, or purely human-centric tasks, storytelling, community building, ethics, and governance. Altman's optimism lies in adaptability. Humans, he suggests, will pivot, as they did during previous industrial revolutions, but the transition could be faster than ever before. The open question, will governance, education, and welfare systems evolve just as quickly? 3. Codex and the disorienting pace of agentic progress. Among the most concrete revelations from Dev Day 2025 was Altman's statement that Codex, OpenAI's code writing model, is not far away from autonomously performing a week of work. That is a remarkable claim. It implies the near-term feasibility of agents capable of understanding multi-step objectives, managing dependencies, self-checking, and persisting across sessions. In other words, AI systems that no longer reset after each prompt. This marks the shift from prompted intelligence to persistent agency. Developers who have experimented with OpenAI's new AgentKit toolkit are already seeing early versions of this, systems that can take a goal, build a prototype API, deploy it, and generate documentation, and execute it end-to-end over time. The phrase Altman used, disorienting progress, perfectly captures the pace of this evolution. AI has gone from assisting coders to potentially replacing entire cycles of human software development. However, from an expert perspective, such progress introduces several engineering and ethical challenges. How do we sandbox autonomous code agents safely? Who is accountable when an agent makes an architectural decision that causes a system failure? Can AI maintain cybersecurity hygiene while generating and deploying its own code? These are not distant concerns. They're immediate design constraints for developers integrating agentic systems today. 4. The rise of the zero-person startup. Perhaps the most audacious vision Altman shared was the idea of a zero-person, billion-dollar startup, a company launched, operated, and scaled entirely through AI agents. While this sounds like a thought experiment, it's technologically plausible. With autonomous coding, synthetic marketing, AI-driven sales, and financial management agents, the backbone of a functioning enterprise could, in theory, operate without human intervention. From a systems engineering standpoint, this represents AI as an economic entity. Agents could identify market gaps, design products, negotiate contracts, and adapt to user feedback, all through connected APIs. This scenario raises profound implications: legal, can an agent own assets or intellectual property? Ethical, who is responsible if an autonomous company violates regulations or causes harm? Economic, what happens to human entrepreneurship when software can found and run businesses faster than people? While OpenAI doesn't claim such a system exists yet, the conceptual direction is clear. Altman's remarks point toward a future where agency itself becomes a service, where creating and scaling digital organizations might be as simple as prompting a sufficiently advanced model. 5. From agents to AGI, the gradual convergence underlying all of this is OpenAI's central pursuit, artificial general intelligence. Altman has reiterated multiple times, including earlier in 2025, that OpenAI knows how to build AGI. But the approach appears evolutionary rather than abrupt. Instead of waiting for a single model to achieve AGI, OpenAI is constructing it piece by piece, through modular, interconnected, and increasingly autonomous agents. Each iteration of these systems pushes closer to human-level cognitive versatility. The combination of memory, reasoning, perception, and long-term planning, previously isolated in different models, is converging. In this sense, agents may not just be tools for productivity, they may be the scaffolding through which AGI emerges. However, Altman's framing also carried humility. He acknowledged that even as capability grows, alignment, safety, and control mechanisms must evolve just as quickly. OpenAI's long-term bet is not simply on intelligence, but on aligned intelligence, systems that operate in accordance with human values and objectives. That balance, between acceleration and alignment, will define the next phase of AI governance. 6. What comes next? Challenges and crossroads. From an analytical perspective, OpenAI's announcements and Altman's commentary crystallize 5 major trajectories and tensions that define the near future of AI. 1. Agentic acceleration. Persistent agents that can manage multi-day tasks will redefine productivity. Software, automation, and R&D. Expect the rise of AI orchestration roles, humans managing fleets of agents rather than performing tasks themselves. 2. Ethics and accountability. As autonomy increases, so must oversight. Governments and institutions will need clear frameworks for auditing AI systems, determining liability, and ensuring transparency in autonomous decisions. 3. Societal adaptation. The shift away from traditional employment structures will demand new welfare models, perhaps including universal basic income or tokenized participation in AI-generated wealth. 4. Inequality and access. If only major corporations can afford large-scale agents, wealth concentration will deepen. Democratizing access to AI infrastructure will be essential to prevent a two-tier innovation economy. 5. Energy and sustainability. As models become more agentic, their computational footprints will grow. Sustainable compute strategies, including hardware optimization, energy-efficient inference, and carbon-neutral data centers, will become defining metrics of progress. Each of these represents both an opportunity and a risk. The AI community must treat them not as afterthoughts but as design pillars. 7. Humanity's role in the agentic age. Beneath the technical details, there is a philosophical undercurrent to Altman's message: AI is expanding the space of what it means to be human. If agents can perform labor, humans may finally be free to engage primarily in creativity, connection, and meaning. But such optimism requires intention. Technological progress alone doesn't guarantee equitable or fulfilling outcomes. The future of work, discovery, and entrepreneurship will depend not only on what agents can do, but on how humans choose to use them. In practice, this means shifting education toward problem framing rather than problem solving, valuing adaptability over specialization, and redesigning institutions to prioritize continuous human-AI collaboration. As one observer at Dev Day noted, "We're not just automating tasks, we're automating possibility." That phrase captures the moment. The transition from AI as a tool to AI as a co-creator represents one of the most significant transformations in human history. Whether it leads to widespread abundance or deeper inequality will depend on how responsibly this new power is wielded. Conclusion: the dawn of agentic intelligence. OpenAI's Dev Day 2025 showcased more than new models, it unveiled a new ontology of computing. Agents that persist, reason, and act autonomously are not just technological upgrades, they are civilization-level shifts. Sam Altman's remarks point toward a world where a billion-dollar startup may exist without humans, where scientific discovery is accelerated by algorithmic curiosity, and where work itself may lose its traditional shape. For AI experts, this moment demands vigilance. The pace is indeed disorienting, as Altman said, but disorientation is often the signature of genuine transformation. Humanity stands at the threshold of a new partnership with intelligence itself. Our task now is to ensure that partnership remains symbiotic, creative, and humane. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one.